Today, we're going to go over the equipment I personally use to pull off this episode, some streaming, and everything in between that helps me put out this product out to you. So that if you want to start your show, you kind of have a quick little list of what to buy. If all of this stuff is still too complicated, lucky for you, I'm a podcast consultant, and you can email me at verynadavshow@gmail.com to inquire for a consultation. And yes, you might be hearing that my voice is pretty fucked, and that's because I just got back from Vegas. We just filmed a lot of content for Crapsgiving, and I think a really sweet episode of Steaks Well Done is coming out pretty soon. But until then, I'm going to run you through a whole bunch of equipment that you could have at home that you can start making content with. And before I get into any of all of this, I just want you to know that while I'm talking about these products, you're going to be seeing them probably pop up on screen. I'll be having Amazon links in the description below, just so that it's like, wait, how am I supposed to find all this stuff on my own? Don't worry, homie. I'm going to help you. And with that, I'd like to say welcome to Catching You Up with
Nadav. It's so good.
I'd first like to thank the executive producer of this episode, David Finkel. Without the big baller support of David Finkel, I'd probably be going out selling reverse mortgages and trying to prey on old people that, it's, hey, why pass down this house when you can just kind of reverse sell it and then you take the money, vacation with it, and then the people that get the house when you die is the bank and not your grandkids. That's a good idea, right? But instead of doing that, I don't have to because I have the big baller support of people like David Finkel. And if you'd like to become a big baller supporter of the show, you can go ahead and click the Patreon link in the description below. Boy, my throat hurts. Welcome to Catching You Up with
Nadav. It's so good. Die.
Now's a good time to remind you to comment, like, and subscribe. It all helps the algorithm. So in order to pull off a show like this, in terms of tech signal workflow, you're going to need a couple things. To film content like this, you need something to record your audio and you need something to record your video. So to record my audio, I use the Shure MV7, which gets the job done with the right kind of audio mixing, which you could just YouTube and be, how do I mix audio for podcasting? So I have this MV7 connected to this mic stand with a whole bunch of XLR cords. And where the fuck is that other thing? Where is it? Alright, well that one's connected, but I have one on the side that I could show you. Hold on. This right here is a Cloudlifter, and if you remember from the episode last week, I compared the MV7 to the SM7B. The SM7B, you need to really pump the gain to get a good signal. But sometimes when you pump up the gain, you get something called a noise floor, or whatever the nerds call it, where you'll hear my voice a lot higher, but you'll also hear room tone and all sorts of little weird frequencies that come up with just blasting your volume up to 11. So what these guys do is that they eliminate the noise floor. So you can pump yourself up to 11, and this actually helps take out all the shittier sounds that amplify when you amplify your sound well. Jesus, my voice is in trouble, guys. No karaoke for me this week. So the tech signal workflow from my microphone is microphone, XLR cable, mic stand, and then those XLR cables go into this Cloudlifter where you plug it in and then you have an XLR coming out. It just feeds through this thing and then it wires all the way in to my sound mixer. Now, the reason why I like this one, and I think Zoom has been a big part of the podcasting industry, is they make a whole bunch of really easy to travel with audio recorders where you can probably have somewhere between 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 different inputs. I like this because it's at home, I don't have to move it, it has some weight on it, and it has two abilities. You can put an SD card in the back of it where you could record all the lines individually, and simultaneously you can have a USB going from the back of that into your computer into an audio recording software program where it also records all the audio lines individually. That way if one goes down, you still have the other. Boy, I'm gonna be drinking a lot of tea. So that takes care of the microphone feeding into this sound recorder, which is the L12 Live Trak Zoom, also made by Zoom. Now, the other thing you might be wondering is like, all right, well, how are you piping in your computer audio? Like how every time you say catching you up with
Nadav, it's so good. Die.
Like, how are we getting that, right? So what I'm doing is, do I have an extra radio box? Hold on. I don't have a physical one in the closet over there to show you, but essentially what it is you could plug those into a headphone jack, and then it gives you 2 stereo outputs. So what I have is I have my mic going into one line, and then I have the audio signal from my computer that says catching you up with
Nadav, it's okay, die.
and I have that being split into 2 different 1/4-inch cables that then each go into my L12 Live Trak Zoom. So they come in as a stereo signal. And that kind of covers me for everything that I need for this show. And what's great about the L12, it has 12 lines in. You can do a whole bunch of monos, a whole bunch of stereo inputs, and as long as you know what you're doing in post, you can mix those all together pretty well. And again, you don't need to start with all this stuff. You could look at the previous video, see that you can start with like a pretty shitty microphone and still just get things going, because a lot of people think that the barrier to entry is like, oh, I need all this high-end equipment before I can get started. No, you don't. So I think I started off with some Razer webcam that was maybe 50 or 60 bucks. And then this blue microphone that was also probably like 40 or 60 bucks. And within like 100 to 150 bucks, my streaming setup was way to go. Now, granted, I'm paying in thousands and thousands of dollars in ring lights. You could tell by the reflection in my glasses how many ring lights I use. I use 1. But I used to use 3. And the way that you want to do lighting is normally you want 3 sources. Something coming in from this side, something kind of filling in the shadows on this side, and if you're lucky, which I don't, I'm just kind of using the ceiling fan, you have kind of a backlight, and this ceiling fan is definitely not behind me. It's kind of coming in from right here. So you want something from back here to kind of separate your head from the background over here. But I mean, I don't have a good reason for it. I just don't have that. But I will probably get a ring light for that at some point. So for the longest time, I was using my webcam to do streams. And to remind you, this is what my streams looked like back when I was doing them. And I will be starting them back up again soon. But this is what it looked like. Oh! Oh! Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh! 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 If the picture is small or the picture is big, it's good enough. It's streaming. People aren't expecting like the best stuff in the world. And as long as you're entertaining, over and above all, that's the most important part of everything. So the camera that I'm currently using right now is the BlackMagic 4K Pocket Cinema. And the reason for it really is just because I have so much experience with it. Back when I was at YMH, we drifted towards BlackMagic because they made a whole bunch of other equipment, and all that equipment can speak together very well. For example, if you have more than one camera and you want to switch back and forth between them, you plug both of those into a BlackMagic switcher, and just with a couple buttons, you can switch back and forth with it. I don't need that for this show, so that's overkill, but I've still just kind of grown to like these BlackMagics. I think they run between like $1,000 and $2,000. Hold on, let's check real quick. All right, these go for like $2,000, which is steep, but like, look at how crystal clear this is. And you were able to see that very well. Guys, I'm so sick. Okay, but this doesn't look like a full camera. Like, it looks like it's missing a pretty important part. And that's a lens. And this is the lens that I use for my show. It's the Lumix G12 to 35. I'll have links to all this stuff in the description. But yeah, what's cool about these is that it's got an HDMI output, so you could feed that into a confidence monitor. Like, I could just see what focus is like, because I have a TV up over here. But then also it has a USB port that you can feed a Samsung SSD to. This is the Samsung SSD that I use. And the reason why you want to use SSDs is that A, they're super smart, the read record write is super fast, and this Samsung solid state drive has been one of the most dependable things that I've worked with. And you could record straight on them, you plug them into your camera, and because they're 4 terabytes, or at least the one that I use is, you're able to record hundreds, if not thousands, of minutes at once. And that's very helpful. A lot of these episodes that you see, I record for like 45 minutes to an hour. and then I edit all those down to about, I don't know, somewhere between 8 and 15 minutes, something like that. And this allows me to record for as long as I need to. And guys, I was really contemplating taking a week off just because of the state of how I'm feeling. But as you guys know, I'm a firm believer in we don't miss uploads. That really hurt my throat. And I much rather just put out something short, easy, and simple for you guys to digest than to not give you anything at all. Because Lord knows I would have really loved to talk about how Anthony Jeselnik is just taking shots at anyone that he doesn't think has artistic integrity in the stand-up comedy world. And let me tell you, it's a really fun arc to watch. I have something very special planned for you on Christmas Day. Because Christmas Day is the first day of Hanukkah this year. And let's just say I have an 8-day event that I'll be posting content to that I think might be fun. And I'm excited to share it with you guys. I have a lot of fun things planned for the new year. And this has been a fun, short, and sweet episode. I hope you like it. Comment, like, and subscribe to help the algorithm if you're looking for any of this equipment. I highly recommend you to click the links in the description below. If all of this stuff is still too complicated, lucky for you, I'm a podcast consultant, and you can email me at verynadavshow@gmail.com to inquire for a consultation. And before we sign off, I'd like to thank everyone that you're seeing on screen right now. They are producers of the show that have supported me on Patreon. Without their consistent help, it'd be hard to be putting this out as regularly as I do. And if you'd like to become a supporter of the show, you can go ahead and click the Patreon link in the description below. And with that, I'd like to say thank you very much. It's been a very fun episode, but most importantly, all of this is
This is a totally unconfirmed news.
we'll see you next week.